Ravens were pretty popular when I kind of decided I wanted to focus more on building the brand and less on like doing repair work and stuff like that. So, you know, and even at that time when I was making these, like I would make replacement bodies for people.
Oh, okay.
And
so people destroy bodies, or they just want a replacement?
No, like if somebody had like a neck and they wanted to have like a kind of
trying to
Robin
picture
thing,
somebody
so like,
breaking the body of a guitar.
And you know, I made a few Ravens in that shape, which are not the same as the original bird style guitar by the. Don't need to name names, but this was based on Jackson's version, which to me is much cooler. It addresses a couple of issues with the original. In that if you it reduces the neck heaviness of it.
Better balance.
Better balance. The upper fret access isn't quite as great, just because the body joins the neck at a different spot, but it looks cooler. And let's be honest, 95% of a guitar's tone comes from what it looks like. I forgot. I think a buddy of mine, Hugh, said that, and I thought that was just brilliant. Right? We are in the fashion business after all. But you know, I don't remember how many kind of in that shape, but I did it for a few years. So I mean, there's quite a few, but I felt that. That I should kind of have my own kind of version of it.
Of the thing,
And so that was in 2016. And I had a client at the time who was great because I finally came up with the idea of how I wanted it to be. And I think
he accepted that?
I think I had a template of it. And I said, hey, so, I mean, because he ordered, you know, he had a Raven on order. And I'm like, this is where I'm going with this.
Would you like to?
If you would like that, you know, I'm happy to do it. And if not, it's totally cool too. We've got balloons flying all over. If not, I'm totally cool with building it the way that you ordered it. But he was like, yeah, no, that's bitching. Do it. So I made his alongside of this one.
Okay.
And so this, I didn't have a neck for it at the time. I was just making a body. And there are things about this that I would change were I to make another one to kind of honor this one, which I'm open to. There's just a couple of little teeny tiny things. Mostly it's pickup related and pickup location related, because like a lot of the templates that I was using at the time, were I had like one pickup template. Okay. And you know, it had cutouts I used it for whatever. And now if you've got a Floyd, it, you know, it where that needs to be located, it sits closer to this where, you know, but anyway, but that's the other thing with like making prototypes. It's just a sketch. Yeah. It doesn't have to be just a sketch, but that's kind of the mind frame that I approach them.
To have an idea.
Yeah, and so I made this body alongside of the other, and this is
very different from the one, right?
From the final. Yeah, from like how it is now. Yeah, the placement of where the raised center starts. Yeah, it's changed a fair amount. That one is a little closer to how they're done now. But yeah, because like this really, I would just kind of take a template and I just kind of put it on the body. And sometimes, you know, the template could shift, and then so I got to shift it back and remove more. So that's kind of where it came out. And this guitar came with me when I had my first little appearance at NAMM when I was helping Perry with
2014?
2016.
Okay.
So January 2016. So this guitar came with me then. The neck on this is Bacote.
Not that common, right?
No.
Pretty uncommon, actually.
It's not super common.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Mexican rosewood when no one else would.
Yeah.
Rosewood.
Yeah. Always.
And this the wood was given to me.
It's darker than than what are you used to seeing? Right?
Well, you know, it gets darker over the years.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a little bit lighter, and it can be like yellowish when it's fresh.
Okay.
One very strange thing about Bacote, when you cut it or sand it or whatever, it smells like pickles.
There you go. So
It
you
100%
just add chips and happy birthday again.
But you know, I don't like pickles.
Oh.
But anyway, so that's kind of this guitar, and this went with me to NAMM, and so here's the back to the back. So this has got a rounded heel and a little scoopy bit here, which is fun, and this angles down a little bit.
And also the strap button is over here instead of over there.
Right on the back.
Right, yeah.
So it works here on this guitar.
Okay.
It doesn't work here on all of them.
No, the other one. Yeah. That's why it's on the back.
That's why I moved it to the back, because that is one of those things where because it needed to be there.
Yeah.
And I've seen people from time to time with Ravens that they go once
they change it
when it was back here. I've seen them drilled here, and it doesn't it balanced back here, and I put it there for a reason. Just trust me.
There you go.
Just this used to be a tree, and now,
it's a singing tree now, right? Those are the words.
Well, I don't know if it's a singing tree. It makes noise.
Okay.
I can't say it sings. But I do have a thing about bolt-on Ravens. I almost like it better as a bolt-on model. I don't know why. They always just seem to have a little bit more kind of
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We're turning like 60 in a few hours.
Right. The bolt-ons kind of, I don't know. They just seem to be a little spunkier for some reason. It's just a weird thing. And some people would be like, oh, well, the attack is different. I'm like, I don't know. It's just, they're just fun.
You gave me a pick, right?
Yeah. Stealing, man. You're stealing the guitar. You're going to get canceled for that.
No, just one.
It's a Sully pick.
Oh, you didn't
Oh.
Sully, look at that.
Oh, that's how you know it's good. Gracias, amigos.
Okay, and can I have that one?
See?
Singing tree.
It's a little different.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So there's always been a part of me that wants to change the Raven to be a bolt-on model. But yeah, I don't know if the buying public would go for it. But it's kind of funny, like, if I would have just made them that way.
They would.
It's like, you wouldn't know. But, to me, it kind of always, for some reason in my head, it should be a set neck model. So like when I do a bolt-on version, it just feels like, I don't know, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. But like all of the bolt-ons are like super fucking rad, which is crazy. Yeah. So then one other little story about this one is, so after the paint work was done and it came back, took some damage at the fretboard end, and like the binding and like it cracked, like the fretboard extended a little bit further out.
Okay, so you cut it out.
I had to kind of reshape it and then rebind it.
But it looks okay.
It's all right, but only.
Oh yeah, you can tell it.
Yeah, it's a little shorter. Yeah.
It's a little shorter.
Because like, so the way that I do these, when I was figuring out like things of, well, okay, how long does a fretboard need to extend? Or something like, well, how long is a pickup cavity? I've got a template. How deep do I need to make this thing?
Yeah.
And then you go grab guitars and all that sort of thing. And measuring this over. And so what I just do as a rule of thumb, like on a 22 it just cuts off at the 23rd fret slot on the 24th fret.
If
It just
had
cuts off at a
23rd,
25 and 25 frets.
One more fret.
It's if you were to put, that's where it would go.
Okay.
Last bit of history on this guitar is that this was at Mr. Six's house for a while. You know, he started following me on Instagram and we kind of communicated a little bit. And I remember he had said he had a white Firebird Studio that someone loaned him and he had to give it back. And so he had posted on Instagram something like, you know, my friend wants his guitar back. Does anybody have a white Firebird Studio or something like that they could loan me? And I said, well, sort of. And then, you know, that was kind of late at night for me. Like 6 in the evening. We've just finished dinner and I had to go to bed. Matlock was on. But, you know, so then I'm like, oh, well, you know, I got something, her. And I woke up in the morning with a message, you know, a DM from him.
Show me what you got.
It was just, you know, interested in the Raven. And so this was, turned out to be like, it was Mother's Day 2017 that morning. It was a Sunday and Mrs. Sully and I were going to go out and do some errands. And I had, you know, messaged him and he's like, okay, well, you know, give me a call here, but like text me first so I know it's, you know, so I know to answer the phone.
Okay.
And so I gave him a call and we talked probably for about an hour and a half. We talked about guitars for about 3 minutes. And I was going to send
fun
this
stories.
Yeah. And just talking about just stuff. And so I sent him this and he's like, this is rad. Definitely make me one. But I'm also interested in a 71.
Oh, look at that.
And I'm like, I'm really interested in that too. So he's like, you know, do you have one that I could check out? And I did at the time. That was part of the batch of guitars that I did with Grover in 2016. And I had one. And so I'm like, well, let me, you know, I'll send that out to you to check out. And so he got it. And then Stevie came over like an hour later, and then that guitar went with Stevie. So he,
so no,
but I remember,
no 71
yeah. But I do remember when, you know, he got this guitar and was very complimentary and that's nice. And then I sent him the 71 to check out and he called and, you know, hello. And first thing out of his mouth is, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, how much time do you have?
Where do I start?
And like, how much time do you have? And so we laughed and he's like, okay, well, we can go back and forth. This will be fun. But I'm like, well, okay. So he's like, this guitar, the 71, he's like, it's amazing. This thing plays better than any why does this and the Raven play better than any other guitar that I own? I said, well, I can't answer that, but I'm glad that you feel that way.
Sure.
And then I finished his Raven, and that is with him.
That was a relic one, right?
Yeah. That was, I think his guitar was the first relic, because his and Stevie's Black Flag Trella, those were finished, like Nicky's was finished first and then Stevie's was like maybe a couple of months after. Okay. But both of them shared that, like, your guitars are so shiny and pretty and I'm afraid I'm gonna hurt them.
I need to beat them up a little.
And I was like, do what you want to. I don't care. I mean, it's fine. But there's still that kind of like, it's too nice.
Shouldn't I?
Yeah. And it's like when you make I've made cutting boards in the past out of, like, you know, neck woods and stuff, and they're really pretty. And like invariably the people's like, it's too, well, or no, there's like, it's too nice for me to use.
Oh yeah. So, I've heard that. I don't understand it, but I've heard it.
Yeah. And so, you know, he's like, can we like beat it up a little bit? And I'm like, well, you know, we hadn't really done that stuff because most of the people that I worked with that were doing paint work,
shiny stuff,
weren't doing that.
There you go.
And
59 by now.
Oh my God. Oh,
Okay.
so my friend Billy at Rock and Roll Relics,
Mm-hmm.
he painted those two, and that really kind of opened up a
world of
whole
opportunity.
new
Yeah.
world,
You used to
a
sing
new
that one.
fantastic point of view. Yeah.
There you
So, dinner and a show. Wait, where's dinner?
I haven't eaten
it's like-
anything yet.
They're made of cake.
That's
Oh,
right.
there you go.
So that really started the whole,
Right thing. for
sullied
you.
finishes, because that
Sullied?
to sully is to ruin.
Just don't go pushing the.
Don't go
the phone.
pushing my camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the story with that, and then so this has changed a little bit since then. Like we talked about, like this, the raised elevation has come down to about here. So it's really kind of like where this line terminates, and then where this kind of.
So now it looks rounder because it's like following the. Like that
yeah,
one right
yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.